That's the issue. People who are animal lovers talk about now whether you're going to carry on racing or not.
Well, they are pampered creatures, to be perfectly honest. Now, you just disclosed that you were using the whip last night, which people, Aidan was horrified. But I was wondering, Hayley, the racing industry say this doesn't hurt.
Right.
I don't know if you want to give Aidan a crack with it to see if he can vouch for the fact. Give Aidan a crack with it.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oh, what are you doing? It's just a.
Oh, that's a bit painful.
Oh, yeah. It's a ton, half a ton and a half.
I've got sensitive skin.
Well,
it's all that cream you put on. All that cream you put on. Anyway, look.
Let's hit him a bit harder than that.
Maybe later.
Anyway,
Aidan McGee's with us, and of course, Hayley Palmer's with us to give us the latest showbiz, not whipping news, but showbiz news, the Oscars.
Yes, really excited. It's Hollywood's biggest night of the year tomorrow, and I'm buzzing for it. In fact, I want to know what happens this year, because I remember sat here last year being like, is there going to be an excitement? Of course, it was the whole Will Smith thing. This year, they've actually got a crisis team on standby, just in case anything does happen. Now, this year, it's Jimmy Kimmel hosting for the third time, so I'm sure he will kind of make some reference to it. But I'd love to flag up a new talent called Leslie Patterson. She's got a film called All Quiet on the Western Front, and what I love about her story is that she read the book at school and she's been rooting to make this a film for 14 years. She moved to Hollywood with 2 suitcases, no money, no contacts, worked as a waitress at the Academy Awards, and this year she's up for 9 awards, and I just think that is such an inspirational story, and I love to see new talent coming through, because obviously we've got all your icons, but it is good that there's new talent coming through this year, which I've noticed that there is.
I actually thought her life story should also be made into a film. I mean, she was an athlete, and she used, I think, that skill and discipline. And we watched the film.
We watched it about last week.
Deeply moving, actually. It took me days to recover from it. It was honestly deeply moving.
Hayley, do you think the Oscars needs controversy, though? Do you think it needs it to make it more interesting?
Yeah, definitely, because everyone's going to tune in this year. Because I think the viewing figures went down, but what happened last year, everyone's like, oh my god, we need to tune in this year. So bring it on. I want to flag up also the film that's definitely going to sweep the board with everything, which is Everything Everywhere All at Once. This film is unstoppable. This is like the darling of the Oscars. That's the one that's going to scoop everything up. So if you're going to put a bet on, put it on that film. That's what I say.
Scream 6?
But what about Elvis?
There's
lots of other ones I'd sooner.
Aidan's mentioning Scream. From what I can tell, Aidan and Hayley had a hot date.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, yes, it was. You mean, have we brought them together? An on-screen relationship?
No, just to confirm.
It was a very cosy picture.
It was very professional, and Aidan had his lucky chance to actually go to a premiere for the first time.
Here they are, looking gorgeous together, if you don't mind me saying.
It's a good photo of me.
I have to say,
I borrowed some of Hayley's makeup.
Aidan, I was going to say that. You look like you're very tanned. You look like you've been on a sunbed or something.
Bromley's quite warm at the moment.
What a nice couple.
Do you know what? This whip will come in handy to find out whether he is having a relationship with Hayley later. We'll get that truth out of him.
Anyway, back to the Oscars, as I was saying. We went Boston, by the way. I also want to point out that the goodie bags this year, I've got read, the goodie bags are £126,000. They're worth that much money.
Each one?
Yes.
Not all of them together.
Not all of them together.
Are you giving that free?
I know, we need to be there.
You're giving that free?
So they must have their own security for those goodie bags. And what's in them? They've got, because they've had things like watches in the past and I don't know, other jewellery.
Dying to know what's inside there. Also, we want to look out for Rihanna, who's going to be performing as well. And best dress, I'm going to go for Kate Blanchett, because I always think she looks so elegant. And Austin Butler, of course.
Yes.
So that's who we're looking out for tonight.
So we won't know what's going to happen in the Premier League today, because none of us can watch match. We'll be able to watch match of the day at this rate.
No, what I'm worried about, I mean, final
Put
score's
your name forward, put your name forward.
Listen, people have been saying that, but I'm very happy at GBNEWS.
They can't afford me to get paid more than Gary Lineker.
No, not quite. I'm about a tenner behind him. No, the final score's gone now, and the PFA have now decided that none of their players are going to make themselves available for interview.
None of them, or just some aren't?
No, it's just none. I mean, every player's a member of the PFA, so they've been advised not to. So I think they must have gone to the PFA and said, what should we do?
I'm going to
Because
ask you a
players'
question.
union.
Do you think they've ever really liked giving those interviews? Because I always think they get them at a bad time, they don't look comfortable, and they're thinking, great, this is a great excuse, we now don't have to do those interviews.
I mean, like, the oldest trick used to be coming through the mix zone, which is the equivalent of the red carpet at the Oscars or a premiere, which I'll be going to more of, I think.
With Hayley.
And they have their headphones on when they don't want to speak to you.
Yes.
But, if you're charming as a reporter and you come over here, you can get some out of them.
Those interviews at the end of the match of the day with the players, and it's ridiculous, isn't it? Teams wanting to. Are you happy that you've won?
Yes, but sometimes there is a degree.
Oh no, I'm absolutely gutted that we.
Believe it or not, there is a
Did you
degree.
see he went straight for that whip? He didn't even need to then. Did you see that?
There's a microphone.
Bit too
With a microphone, aren't they?
Some of the microphones are like that.
Exactly.
No, there is a degree of control from the big broadcasters over what you can ask them. That's preordained at the start of the season, believe it or not.
So let's thank God we're not going to have those boring interviews. That's
but sometimes the managers and players just use them to say what they want to say. So they're not always uninteresting. Although some players have complained about the timing. They say, well, I've just come off the pitch 5 minutes ago. I'm angry and I'm emotional and I shouldn't be subjected to this. But yeah, it's a good excuse not to do them.
Oh, Hayley.
Pat Sharp, I wanted to ask you about Pat Sharp.
Yes,
Because he needs a job, doesn't he? Match of the day could be beckoning for him.
Yeah, he's been cancelled for saying an inappropriate comment. He was at a gig, there's about 400 people there, and he said something he shouldn't have said. I have interviewed Pat Sharp. I think he's a really nice guy, personally, and maybe, I don't know if he'd had a drink or something and said something he shouldn't have, got carried away. I don't know what happened, but he has been cancelled from his radio job.
But nobody's going on strike for him, are they?
No, they're not. I mean, he's a legend. He's been in the business a long time, but you've got to be careful what you say in public, haven't you? Especially when you've got 400 people in the room.
Well, it seems to be different rules for different people, that's all I think. Everyone's going on strike to support Gary Lineker. Pat Sharp, nobody's even noticed he's lost.
Would they go on strike for us, Phil?
No.
I would.
Aidan
Some would say I'm on strike anyway.
Aidan McGee, thank you very much indeed. Hayley Palmer, thank you very much indeed. What a day it's been. What a show it's been. Our exclusive interview there with Jeremy Hunt and all your views coming in, what you thought. So that's it from us today. Next is Alistair Stewart and friends. But you know what? We'll be back next week. Can't wait. 10 o'clock next week.
We're off to give everyone a good whipping now. That's what we're going to do.